we are continuing our Parsing JSON review, plus additions, because there'll be things along the way we probably haven't seen or we've seen again. Either way, it's review. Today, our objective is to write a unit test to test a JSON payload. The overall objective is to use the bundle class to parse JSON. Last week, we used Swift Playgrounds to parse our JSON. This week, today, we'll be using the bundle class to parse our JSON, and tomorrow, we'll be revisiting URL session. Because for the longest, we've been using a wrapper around URL session to do our JSON parsing. So we catch ourselves sometimes forgetting the exact native way to just do it without some sort of like framework or anything like that. So today we'll do bundle class, and tomorrow we'll take a look at URL session. Both of those will be using unit tests because, again, some of us are more comfortable with unit tests. Some of us want refreshers with unit tests. So both today and tomorrow we'll also revisit unit testing, our JSON and our models. The JSONs we'll be using, or the JSON we'll be using today, I've created this repo. Feel free to make a pull request if you have JSON that you like or whatever I could add here, because it's always useful to like go get some JSON and test it out just for like either review or showing somebody else how to parse JSON. So here is all local JSON files, and today we'll be using the bundle. We're not using an endpoint. So all the JSON or the JSON we'll be using today is coming from this particular repo here, which is called Json Examples. Feel free to open up a PR, and I'll definitely add it to this repo if you have any JSON that you're very happy to use and stuff like that. Or challenging JSON as well, either way. So as we go through the JSON examples, we'll grab some JSON, we'll paste it into an Xcode project. Keeping in mind that when we paste some JSON in a file, and we call it like a .json file, be very careful that there's no extra spaces or no comments in that particular JSON file because it won't be valid. Along the way, we'll create a model. We'll test our model. We'll create a unit test to test our model. We'll use the bundle class here. Here we have the bundle class. We'll actually write a bundle extension on our bundle class to get access to the bundle here, because the main way to read a file in your app bundle is through the bundle class here, this singleton bundle.main. So here we'll get the name of the JSON file, and the extension is .json. So we'll do the parsing using the bundle class here. And also we'll test the bundle, see if everything is working. And lastly, we'll populate a table view using diffable data source, just to refresh our memory. And also it's a new API, so the more you use it, the better it's gonna be as far as like second nature to us. So that's the objective of the day. And at the end, we'll have a table view rendered with the results from our JSON. Any questions with our objectives and what we're looking at doing today? Or last week? Any questions before we get started? Okay. Everybody has access to the lesson link. Let's go ahead and click on the JSON examples here. Click on the JSON examples. And we'll navigate to presidents.json. Does everybody see presidents.json?
Yep.
All right, so click on that. And the easiest way to do this is to, do we see where it says raw here?
Yeah.
Okay, so click on the raw button and just go ahead and Command All and copy. So Command All and copy. Okay, and navigate back to the main lesson link here. So Command All and copy. Next, we'll go to Xcode and create a new project. The new project we'll be creating, don't add Git to it because we'll just add it to our existing repo. Okay, so let's go ahead and, yes?
Sorry, I had to step away. Where did you get the JSON from?
You have access to this lesson link?
Yes.
So click on the JSON examples here.
Okay.
And click on presidents.json.
Okay. All right.
Click on raw.
Yeah. Okay.
And Command All and copy.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then let's go create an Xcode project now. So let's navigate to Xcode. And we're creating a new project. It's not a playgrounds, it's a project. Do not add get. It's a single view app. It's Swift, Storyboard, and we'll call it Parsing JSON bundle. Parsing JSON using bundle. Okay. What's gonna click our memory better? Is it parsing JSON, parsing local JSON, or parsing JSON using the bundle?
Using a bundle.
Using,
Go ahead, Tiffany.
I said using bundle because
Using
it's
bundle,
parsing.
okay.
Could be anything, but yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll keep that name here and go ahead. We're not gonna add unit tests, we'll do that manually. I like to do that just because the fact that most times we probably have a project that doesn't have unit tests, so we'll add unit tests after the fact. So make sure that's not selected. If you're comfortable, that's up to you. You could select it, but for now, just keep it unselected and we'll keep going. And make sure to save it in your project from last week. So I'm navigating to my project from last week, and I'm actually gonna save that project in my project repo. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm saving it in my parsing JSON review right here. It doesn't conflict with anything else, and I'm gonna create. Great. Okay. The first thing we'll actually be doing, let me just change my simulator here. The first thing we'll actually be doing is creating a new file. If you're following along with the lesson, we'll create a new file. So new file, what type of file are we creating?
Empty?
Empty, very good. So we'll navigate down to empty here, where it says empty, all the way down, where it says other, select empty, select next, and we'll just go ahead and name it the same as the JSON we just copied. Doesn't really matter, but we'll just keep the same name. So here I'll say presidents.json, and I will create. And now be very careful. What we just copied earlier from the repo, now we want to go ahead and paste it starting on line 1. So just go ahead and paste from line 1. I cannot put any comments here. If I do this, like this is a JSON file, this will be invalid. When I try to parse this, it's gonna be invalid. So make sure that your first bracket starts on the first line, and make sure there's nothing else that you added at the end of that last bracket. So it's just exactly what you copied, exactly what you pasted in here. How are we doing so far? We all have the file?
Yes.
All right.
Why did it add Donald Trump?
What? We'll come to that later.
Alex, what kind of file you created? Sorry,
It's an empty file. You click, you go new file. You go new file, and you go down to empty file.
Okay.
You go next, and then they give you the name .json. Yep. Cancel here. 1 second. Okay, great. Everybody okay? Everybody created the file? Yes?
Yep.
All right, cool, awesome. Next step, let's go ahead and create a model for this. So let me make sure that I could see my JSON. Go ahead and create a new file. This time it's going to be a Swift file. Swift file, next. And we'll simply call it president. It's a president model, next. And here we'll have our struct, call it actually, let me make this bigger. Nobody said it yet, but I think you might appreciate a bigger font. dark. Is this big enough? What's that? Okay. All right. So president here, quotable. And what does our president model have? Well, there's a number. What data type is number? What data type is an int? Very good, thank you. Next we have name.
Agenda items, digital content. So the first item here is the.
It doesn't say name, it says president.
1 second, I need to mute somebody here. Was that you? No. What's that, Tiffany? You were saying something?
It doesn't say name, it says president.
Oh, we're actually gonna change it.
Okay.
We're gonna change the name. Sorry about that. I'll change president. So this is originally president. We'll use coding keys to change it. Because when I come to an object, if I create, for example, an instance of president, to say president.president is not ideal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, so like president, president, we could do better than that. So instead of saying president here, we'll change it to name. Very good. Next, we have birth year. Again, birth year is snake case, so we'll change that. It's an int. Next, we have death year.
Is that an int or a double?
The year is an integer.
Okay.
Because we don't have 17.35, right?
Okay, that's fine.
Very good. Okay, so death year, we'll take took office is a string. We'll take left office is a string. And lastly, we have party, which is a string. And now we'll go to our private enum coding keys and change the names. And we'll start off by saying number. We'll keep number the same. We'll say name used to be president, and we change that to name. Birth year used to be snake case birth year. And we have death year, same thing. Used to be snake case death year. Took office. Took office. And left office. Office. And lastly, party is the same. Party is the same. So at this point, if you've typed this out, you shouldn't have any errors because you've taken the original keys and changed them to name. Make sure name is here. You change birth year to birth year, comma case, birth year is here, and so on and so forth. The only two things we did not change was number and party. So far, so good. Anybody needs extra time to type?
Yeah.
Okay. I know we have other things doing as well, but please feel free after the lesson, as you have time, to grab a next JSON and do exactly what we did, just for your own review. Because I have other JSON examples there as well. So you could just grab any of those and make your own model, parse it, and present it in some table view. How are we doing? Good?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's keep going. Next step in the process, we want to write a unit test to test our JSON versus our model and see if everything works correctly. So now we'll go ahead and create, we don't have a unit test target. We'll actually go ahead and create a unit test target. So navigate with me. At the navigator options here at the top right above our project name, let's go to our test navigator here. So click on the test navigator. Everybody sees the test navigator, the diamond. So click on that. Currently it says no test. So at the bottom where it says add, do we all see add, the add button at the bottom left? Click on that. And then where it says new unit test target, go ahead and click on new unit test target. And we'll go ahead and keep the default name. What it does, it keeps the project name and it suffixes the word test to it. So let's just keep that as is and simply just click on finish. And now we have a test target. Go back to our navigator folder here. And now we have a new folder, which is where our tests are. So if we click on the first class here, this is where our test cases, our first test. So let's go ahead and write a test here. So actually we could go ahead and remove all the stub functions here, just clear that up. And we'll write a test to test our model. So it's a function. All tests begin with the word test, right? It needs to begin with the word test. So here, all tests to be prefixed. Okay, and then the function name. So here we'll say test model, doesn't take in any arguments. What's a part of a test? What's the 3 parts of a test?
Assert.
No, it's
Assert is one, but what comes before assert?
Arrange.
one.
Arrange. Yep. And then
Sign.
act.
But is that supposed to be word test?
Sorry, what am I? Oh, yeah. Yeah, word.
Okay.
Yeah. It's working a test, but the word is yes. Thank you, sir. So this is the boilerplate we need to write a test, right? So arrange, we'll get some JSON data. What we're gonna do is navigate to our JSON. Everybody navigate to the presidents.json file. And let's get some JSON here. So grab the first 2 elements. So start from line 18. We all should be on line 18. If not, then there's something else there. We all should be on line 18. So start from line 18, not the comma. Don't take the comma. So line 18 all the way up to the first line, copy that. And let's go to JSON lint. Let's not take any chances. Let's go to JSON lint. Everybody go to jsonlint.com. Paste your JSON in. What's our JSON missing to be valid?
Bracket.
Bracket, square bracket, very good. And now we're gonna click on validate. It's validated. Now we could copy everything and go back to our project. At this point, let's go to our test. And we'll go where it says arrange here. We'll start off by creating some constant called JSON data. It's also a multi-line string. This is very similar to what we did last week, but here we have a unit test. And we'll paste our JSON in the multi-line string. So now we have our JSON, and we need to convert that string to data. So we'll convert the string to data using data with UTF-8 format. And don't forget to unwrap it here using the exclamation mark. So now we have valid data, and now we could go ahead and continue on. All right, so we're arranging what we need to test. So far we have our JSON. Next thing we need to test is, we could grab any example here. For me, I'll just grab the example where the president name is George Washington. So I'll say the expected result, or expected first president, is George Washington. Well, not that. George Washington here. Again, the test you're testing, am I able to take this JSON convert it to a model, and query for the president's name. That's the test. We're testing the model. Great. Okay, so we have our president, expected president. Now we're going to go ahead and act on it. To act on it, we'll wrap our do catch here because we're about to use JSON decoder. We're about to use JSON decoder. What are we expecting back? We're expecting back a set of results. We'll just call it presidents because it's an array of presidents. We'll try to decode it. And our JSON data. What is the object here that I'm passing in?
The JSON data.
No, the first argument in our decode function here. We have the JSON data as the second one, but the first one, what type?
An array of president?
An array of president. Very good, sir. So here we'll say, but why am I not getting president? Why isn't it auto-completed? Is it Xcode? Like president is not auto-completing.
You have to import the project.
What's that?
You have to import the project.
Yes, we have to import the project. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Because right now we're in a different target. That target doesn't know anything about our parsing JSON target. So we have to import it on line 10. I could say add testable here and import my project name. So if you start typing in parsing, it's gonna come in and just press enter. So your project name, if you named it the same as us here, it should be parsing underscore JSON underscore using underscore bundle. If you build, there should be no errors apart from our one error down here. So make sure you put in line 10, import the project, and you have to say add testable here because you're in a test suite. And then we should now be able to autocomplete president. Does autocomplete work for everybody now?
Wait, I missed what we're importing at the top.
At the top, we import in, so add testable here, import, and type in parsing, the name of your project, parsing. And build. And now we should be able to autocomplete our president. And it's an array, as Christian said. Great, yeah, because it's an array. This is the top level. It starts with a square bracket here. Great. So here we have our presidents. Let's continue on. Actually, we could fail here. In the catch block, if we get here, we'll fail. So XCT fail with a message. We'll simply say decoding. If we get here, that's a decoding error. Decoding error, and just pass in the error. So this is our act. Now we'll go to our assert. Assert. We'll assert XCT assert equal. So type in XCT, right? Assert equal. What are we looking for? Well, is my expected president name equal to presidents? We'll make it fail first. We'll go to the second president. Does everybody have, where am I? Name, dot name. Does everybody have the code we have up to now?
Yep.
All right, cool. So now we could go ahead. What's the shortcut for running a test?
And you?
Command U, very good. So if we type in Command U, our test is gonna run. It's gonna run all your tests if you type in Command U. If you wanna run individual tests, you could simply click on the diamond here.
Alex,
Yes.
yeah, I was just gonna say, isn't that gonna fail because we're looking at the
Yeah, we just made it fail to make sure the test works, right? Sometimes it's okay to make the test fail than to make it pass.
Okay.
So now it failed because it says George Washington is not equal to John Adams. So now let's make it pass by setting it correctly because the first president starts at element 0. And now we'll run the test again by clicking on the play button. And our test should pass because indeed, George Washington here is equal to George Washington from our array. Does everybody test pass at this point?
Yep.
Okay, very good. So here we tested our JSON and that works. We are good
No,
to
I don't know why I'm getting an error. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But for president, oh wait, you know what? Never mind.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, cool. Very good. All right. Any questions before we continue on? So what we did last week, very similar. We have some JSON here. We tested it last week with like Swift Playgrounds, but here we actually wrote a unit test to test the JSON. This could easily be from your Postman that you're grabbing the JSON from. Now let us continue on. So next step in our process here is to create an extension on our bundle class. Because we remember we have to read from the bundle. So let's go ahead and write a new file or create a new file. New file.
Alex,
Yes.
I do not have errors on my president struct. Can you extend maybe?
President struct here.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking at it and I can't find it. Can you just send me?
Oh, you want me to Slack it to you? Okay, sorry. Let me do that. Is it only Luba?
Huh?
Is it only you or? Okay, I'll just send it to you. Right here. All right, I sent it over on Slack.
Okay, thank you.
Let us know when all is good. All right, so continuing on, we'll create a new file. It's a Swift file. Click next. And this is just gonna be an extension. So call it bundle plus parsing JSON. Bundle plus parsing JSON. This is convention for naming an extension on some type. So here, click on create.
Swift file?
Yeah, it's a Swift file, yeah. Swift file, name is called bundle plus parsing JSON. Luba, how you doing?
It works, thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, so here we'll start with our extension on the bundle class. Our function will be called parse JSON with name, some string. Steps we need: 1, read file. Well, not read file, we need to get the path. Get the path of the file to be read in the bundle class. And the second step in this process is to using the path read its data contents. So 2 things we're going to be getting here. 1, we'll be getting some string, which is the path. And 2, we'll be getting the data contents, which is type data. And this is an optional. And this is also an optional. So far, so good? All right, cool. So let's continue on. So here we have guard let path equal to bundle.main, which is a singleton. This guy is a singleton. On that singleton, we have a function called path for resource. Everybody got path for resource here? Yes?
Yep.
All right. And for the resource name, it's looking for a string name. We'll just pass in name here. And for the type, For now, we always expect in JSON.
Alex, I have a question.
Yep.
Would it be possible to use this path on any file that's part of the project?
Yes.
Okay.
But to make it work that way, you can, but for now we only read in JSON files. But if you were to, then you'd make this like more generic, and you'd say like extension, you'd give it like some.
Yeah, I know it needs to be customized, but like the bundle it includes all of the different files.
Yep, like an image, an MP3, any sort of like thing you want to read from here.
Okay. Thank
Yep,
you.
very good, very good. All right, cool. Good questions. All right, so here we have our path, and what do we want to do that function? Well, we want to return, in our case here, what do we want to return? If we read in from our particular president's file, the president's JSON file, what are we expecting back? What data type are we returning here?
An array of presidents.
An array of presidents, very good. So here we have an array of presidents. Great, perfect, thank you. So we return back an array of presidents. If anything happens here, we could do return here. Right, but that's not enough, right? We want to let the user know something went wrong. And first of all, we have to return like an empty array or something like that. But we want to let the user know something goes wrong. What we're going to do is convert this function to a throw-in function, right? So this function, parse JSON, will be a throw-in function. Throw-in functions, to use throw-in functions, you have to use try or do catch. Try. Right, to use a for throwing function, you have to use one of those, try question mark, or do catch, or try exclamation mark. In our example, when we call this function, we're gonna be using a do catch because we'll be able to catch the error here, okay? Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so here we have our function. We need to mark it as a throwing function. The way you do that is to mark it with throws here, throws. So you're saying this function throws an error, right? So now instead of doing this return here, we could actually throw an error. But before we throw an error, let's get to an error. We'll create an enum here. We'll call it bundle error, conforms to error. And any sort of error we could throw, we'll just put it as a case here. In that example, if we get to line 28, that means whatever we passed in is not a valid resource, right? So we could say case invalid resource. And we'll give the user back the string that they passed in. Maybe they spelled it wrong. So here, we'll just say throw bundle error dot invalid resource and pass in whatever name they gave us. Maybe the name was wrong. They'll quickly see what the name is and they'll fix it. So this is a throwing function. We're not using a print statement here. We cannot do an alert controller here because this is not, there's no UI kit here. So we're gonna do no alert here. And we're not gonna do print. Print is not enough. Everybody with me?
Yes.
All right, very good.
Copy.
What's that?
I said copy.
Copy, yeah, very good. Because if it's saying that to an employer, you're not gonna put print statements here, please. That's not enough. You wanna throw something or you wanna do something valid to the user doesn't see a print statement. Just always remember that. They could see an alert. The view controller could see an error, and then in that view controller present some sort of alert. But here, where there's no import UI kit, we have no access to UI controller. All right, great. So now we have our path. Let's keep going. Our next step says, using the path reads its data contents. Okay, let's try that. What sort of class do we use to read from the file system? Gonna give that away. What class do we have access to read from the file system, apart from the bundle? If I want to read from the file system, what do I have?
File manager.
File manager. Okay. Very good. All right, so here we have data and we have file manager, which is also a singleton. In that case, it's file manager.default. So this guy.
I think I'm doing something wrong. Oh, okay, never mind.
I like how I'm your duck, your rubber duck.
I know.
All right, so here we have our file manager.default, and here we want to get contents. So contents of, or contents at path. Here we say file manager default, which is a singleton instance. On that, we say get us the contents at some path. Well, we have the path here. So now we just say path and path. And very similar to our throwing, our first throw on line 29, here we could have no contents at this path. So we'll just like throw an error, case no contents. We'll just give them the path. Okay, cool. So we'll just throw here and bundle error dot no contents at path. So at this point, if we get to line 36, that means we have everything we need. We're happy at this point. So now we'll create some sort of array here called presidents. It's an array of president. And we have data. We love data because now we could use JSON decoder to read, to convert that data to our Swift object. So now we could say do catch here. And not let, because we have presidents already. We'll say try JSON decoder, decode, very similar to our unit test. We say president.self. And here we have data. And our last error we could throw. What should we name this one?
Decoding error.
Decoding error, thank you. So here we have decoding error, we pass in the error, and we'll throw an error here. So bundle error, decoding error, like that. And lastly, we need to return our president's array. Build, we should have no errors, no warnings at this point. And this is the full implementation here. Any questions? For your homework, you're gonna convert this to a generic type. It's already in the lesson, but that's your homework, to convert this to a generic type. So that way I could return any sort of data type here. Everybody with me?
Yes.
All right, very good. So I'm not just returning an array of presidents. It could be just a president or whatever. I'll give us a minute to finish up, and then we should test our function, correct? Yes? No, maybe, assume it works.
Yes. No, we should test it.
Assume it works.
Test it.
Chelsea says assume it works.
I'm weak.
Theoretically.
Very good. So we'll write a test for this, and then we will continue on. How are we doing? We good? Can we continue?
Wait, no, actually, I missed some notes at the top.
At
You
the
put-
top.
No, right, yeah, right there where it said, okay, no.
right
It's just
here?
little notes. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, let's go back to our test and write one more function here. Right now we have test model, but we just wrote a function. Let's test the function we just wrote. So here I'll say test, well, function, test. We'll call this one parsing JSON from bundle, or parse JSON from bundle. Same setup, arrange. act and assert. Okay, so what do we need access to? Well, the bundle, I'll just create some sort of constant here for the bundle, singleton. And next, we need a file name. File name, be careful of spelling the file name correctly based on what you wrote, not what I'm writing. Whatever you call your file, it's gonna fail anyway if you don't name it correctly. But whatever you named it here, like whatever your file.json is, that file name should be that file name here. Don't include that JSON, that's gonna fail because we have just that JSON already. Next, we'll say first Black president. And here we'll say, oh, no, sorry. Here, so now we have everything set up as far as like arrangements. And next, let's go ahead and act upon it. So here we'll say do catch. Why do catch? Because our function throws. If we go back to our function here, it throws. So we need to wrap it in a do catch. Tiffany, was there a question?
No, I'm sorry. My brother came in.
No, no worries. So here we're expecting back a president's array. We say try bundle, the bundle instance dot parse JSON. And here, just pass in file name. All right, so this is the function we wrote. And this is the file name we just put in here. And here we should get an array of presidents. And now let's go ahead and assert on it. Okay, we'll say XCT assert equal here. We'll say first president. Here we'll say presidents. Again, we'll make it fail for now. And lastly, we will say that name. And lastly, we'll fail if we get to our catch block. Decoding error. Build. I just want to run that one individual test. So when I'm done, I'll just click on the diamond here, right in the gutter. I'll click on that. My test is going to run.
Wait, but it's not going to fail.
Well, in that case, it failed. Actually, there's a decoding error there.
Alex.
Yes, go ahead.
On line 62, like that parse JSON, where is that from? Like
lines this what like
yeah.
You mean the parse JSON? Where's the parse JSON coming from?
Yeah, because I don't.
What did you call your function here? What's your function called in the extension?
This is the function. That's what we're calling?
Yes.
In the extension?
Yes.
I have the function, but it's not detecting it.
Do you have the import here, correct?
The import, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I also have that function.
Instead of doing the bundle, just do bundle.main directly. Bundle.main here. You should be able to get that function here because it's an extension on your bundle, correct? Like if I go back to our function here, did you wrap, you have an extension on the bundle class, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it worked when I did the bundle.main. I'm not sure why it didn't work just now. Oh, wait, you have like a, no, it's a let. I don't know. It worked this way.
Not seeing bundle.main.
I just changed it. I removed the constant we had up here and I'm just using it directly. Bundle.main and the function name.
I'm actually getting the same error, Alex. It won't, it's saying that value of type bundle has no member parse JSON.
What did you, is it a static type or function, a regular function here, an instance function?
It is a regular instance function.
Let me, for purposes of time, let me just slack this out and make sure we have this the same here. Where is the channel? Right here. All right. Eric, you had a question? Oh, I thought Eric said something. Eric D. I'll give us a few minutes to verify.
So right now it's failing because technically there are some nulls
Yes,
inside of
yes,
the right?
yes, yes. So if we open up our failure here, it says def year is nil. Okay, expected int, but found nil for def year. Everybody sees that?
Yeah.
All right, so we need to go update. Because with the unit test, it only tests the 2 chunks of JSON we had. It doesn't test the whole file. Everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
In
But
that
it's
file,
gonna have one for left too. So def year comes before left office, I think.
yeah. You're ahead of us. You are ahead of us here. So yeah, let's do the first one first. So def year gave us an error. So navigate back to your model and make def year optional. Not all our presidents are dead, right? Go ahead and run the test again. Just Command U from where we are. It failed. Let's go see what the next failure is. The next failure here, as Tiffany says, is left office. Not all our presidents left office. So let's go back here for left. What was that?
Sad, because all but one.
And here we put an optional for left office and run Command U again.
It still failed.
Still failed. That's okay. Let's see what's going on. And here now it fails because, hey, Barack Obama could never equal Donald Trump, correct?
Could never what?
Here we're trying to see first black president. And here, right?
Wait. But that's wasn't Obama number 44?
I got it, Alex. I got it.
What do we know about Christian got it? What do we know about the race?
Oh, it starts at 0, so it's really gonna be 43. Okay.
Yeah. Run that again.
Okay.
And here we are, all green. Great. Is everybody green here at this point? Because I know some people were going back and forth with the bundle extension.
It still doesn't work.
Yeah.
What? Share your screen, Luba. Let me stop sharing mine.
Yeah, no, mine is still not.
Go ahead and share your screen, Luba.
Okay, 1 second.
Oh, I'm such an idiot. I put it for birth year instead of death year.
Hey, we don't use that word.
Sorry. Silly mistake.
Luba, whenever you're ready.
Okay, yeah, it succeeded now.
Okay, so
Click on the error. Use of undefined name.
but if you get rid of this, it doesn't.
No, you have a capital N instead of a lowercase n for your file name. Undo what you just did. Don't delete it. Just change the N. You have a capital N.
I like it.
Yeah, but it doesn't see the function. That's not the problem. It doesn't see this.
Maybe build?
I did.
Wait,
is it private? Do you have it private?
Go back to the function. Go back to the extension.
I just pasted what you sent.
Build here. Just do a build for me. Okay, go back to, wait 1 second. Click on bundle, click on your file bundle parsing JSON.
Here?
Yeah, open up, click on, you see in your right tab, in your right navigation pane there, click on the first one, the first option. No, go back to, go down. There's four buttons. There's 4 buttons at the bottom. Click on the first one. Yeah. You were there before. Click on it, the first one.
This?
Yes. Click on, wait 1 second. The file is here. Click on the last one. One second, let me just see this. When you created that file, it may have, Where is my, why am I not seeing the option for you? Don't click outside of the file in your navigation window, back on the left side, Luba. Click outside, click back on it, and then click on the first option, the first button on the right side. On the right side, the first button. I'm not seeing target membership. You see where it says target membership? Click on show. It's part of the bundle there, so that's okay. Go back to your test. Build again. And then type in parse. Okay.
Now it's easy.
Yep. With Xcode, you just have to, whatever we just did there, do exactly that. Like go out of the file, build, and make sure it sees it.
Okay.
All right, cool. So you can stop sharing. All right, let me share. I think, Minnie, you had a similar issue? I'm sorry?
No, but it worked when I copied your code.
Okay, cool.
I just have to figure
Can
out.
we all see my screen again?
Thank you.
Can we all see my screen? You're welcome, Luba.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
cool. Let's continue on. So at this point, we've tested bundle extension that works. We've tested our model that works. So pretty much the last step is just to create our table view to load some data. So let's go to the view controller.
My favorite part.
Your favorite part?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Storyboard and hook that up. Storyboard, some of us haven't seen that in a while because we do programmatic and we don't like Storyboard anymore. But Storyboard still exists. Let's option click on our view controller. So we have both access here. Let's add a table view to our canvas scene. So get a table view and set the constraints for this 0 all around. Constraints 0 everywhere.
Are we doing table view because it's just easy? 1, 2, 3.
Simpler. Yep.
Are we gonna use the other thing that you started before?
Yeah,
Or just will be
we're
the
gonna use
diffable?
diffable, yeah.
Okay.
From now on, I'll just use diffable unless somebody wants to review the old way.
Okay, cool.
Whenever Apple does something new, you just have to go with it. Unless you're working on an old project that doesn't support, for example, iOS 13. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so here we are. We have our table view. What else we need? We need a cell for it. So click on our table view and one prototype cell. Stop me if anybody wants a refresher here. So we have our cell. We click on our cell. We'll give it an identifier name. I'll call it cell. Very, very unique. And next, what do we want? We want to have it subtitled. So change the style from custom to subtitled. Great. And lastly, let's connect it to our view controller class. So control, drag from your table view scene over to your view controller and call it table view, like that. And at this point, that's all we have. We're done. Unless you want to embed it and put a title. I think, actually, let's just embed it and put a title. Why not? Embed this in a nav bar. Embed the view controller in a navigation controller. So we could give it a title. And we'll just call it presidents or US presidents. That. And now we're done with the storyboard. Okay. Before we do any coding, let's verify that our table view does show. There's no results yet, but just run it to make sure that it does show. And with a title. Cool, great. Everybody good at this point? Yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's continue on. So we have our table view. We need to just load it with our data for our presidents. Let's go ahead and continue on. What we'll do is use our diffable table view data source here. So we'll say private var. Before I do that, let's create the section. I'll use an enum here like we did before called section. And here we have only one section. So I'll say main table view has only one section. We easily have multiple sections, but we have one section. And let's continue on to build our diffable data source. So we'll say private var data source. What type is data source here?
Difficult data source.
UI table view diffable data source. Very good. And here is a generic type. It's expecting a section identifier, which is the first argument. Our section identifier is going to be this enum type, section. And the second type here is the item identifier. Like, what item are you expecting to put into this table view? The item is what?
President.
President. Very good. And we'll implicitly unwrap it. But wait, what's this error? The president type does not conform to hashable. Remember, both section and president needs to conform to hashable. So both the section item identifier and the item identifier needs to conform to the hashable protocol, right? This avoids things like this happening. Like if I have 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, that's not gonna work. The minute it sees the first one, it sees it as being unique. If you try to add the next one again, you'll get a warning from the compiler. So right away, it prevents you from doing code like that in your table view, right? So that's very good. So now we need to go make our president type hashable. So navigate to your president model and simply put a comma after decodable. Decodable is a protocol. We could have multiple protocols. And here we'll just say hashable, build. And now you should have no errors. Okay, let's go back. And now this is good because president conforms to hashable. What the compiler does here, it takes all our types and it makes them a hashable type, because all those types themselves are hashable types. So we have nothing else to do. If you want, you could go ahead and make your own type that the type you want conform to hashable. But in our case, we'll just keep it simple for now, where all the types will just come together, combine themselves, and make a hashable type. So that's all we need to do for that. So that's done. One thing I want to show us again before I continue, instead of retyping this everywhere we need it, we could take that whole chunk of code here from the last angle bracket to the first UI here, copy that, and you could make what's known as a type alias. We've seen type aliases before, but here I could create a type alias. I could give it whatever name I want. And what it's trying to be a placeholder for is the UI table view data source stuff here. So I don't want to type that all the time. I'll just type in data source. So what that gives us is now, instead of doing all of that stuff here, I could simply do data source. Right? So if you catch yourself where you want to do an alias on some type, any type, you could simply do a type alias, give it whatever name you want, and then the thing you're trying to have a placeholder on. Everybody with me?
Yeah, why is that different than a variable, like a regular variable?
A regular variable?
Like why? Like,
well, first of all, we can't, like a regular variable, this is a regular variable, right? What we had here before.
yeah, but
what a regular variable you can't use as a placeholder. Because when we'll be doing, for example, if we do down here, when we actually write in our configure data source function, a regular variable, we are not allowed to do this. Like here, if I say data source, a regular variable cannot replace what that data source type is here. Chelsea? Because after that data source, it's expecting other values as well. It's expecting us to put in our table view initializer.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing, we're only making our data source here a placeholder for something else. It's not a variable.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so let's continue on. So we've created a type alias. Feel free to use this where you need to, especially where you have to do multiple things like type this again in other places. For our case, I think we only type in it in one more place, but I just wanted to make sure that we know what type aliases do. And let's continue on. Actually, yeah, this is good. Let's continue on. So now we'll create our configure data source function because our data source here is nil. Remember that. This is nil. It hasn't been assigned any value. So let's go ahead and configure it. So data source equal to data source, our alias. You see what the alias represents? It represents this actual type. And parents, and then we'll use that initializer here that takes a table view and the cell provider, which is very similar to cell for row at. So we have our table view, which points to this table view instance we have, plus the cell provider, which configures the cell. So here we'll say table view. The cell provider takes 3 arguments like we've seen before. We have table view, we have index path, and we have the actual president type or instance. Like that, okay? And in the closure, this is a closure here. In the closure is where you configure your cell. Configure cell. So to configure the cell, we need to dequeue a cell like we always do. Table view dot dequeue cell. We've registered the cell already, that's okay. And the identifier is simply cell. Whatever you put for your identifier in Storyboard, that's what you should use here. And the index path. And lastly, we just return the cell. So we used a subtitle cell. So we have access to the detailed text label. So let's go ahead and populate the cell. So it says cell.text label.text equal to president.name and cell.detail text label.text equal to president.number. It's that description, because number is an int. So we could say that description. That description just gives you a description of what the item is, or we could use string interpolation to say president.number. I know we've written a lot of code here. I'm gonna pause here for any questions before we continue. No questions? Can we do the rest? Alone? Yes?
Yes.
And lecture? Okay. Yes, I heard a yes. So lecture has been concluded. Thank you, May.
You're welcome.
All right, anytime. Let's continue on. Let's implement view did appear because we want to have some animations happening on our table view. We'll call super view did appear, and we'll just say true here or animated, either or. And we'll call our configure data source. So that calls our configure data source. What else are we missing here? May?
Yes.
What else are we missing?
We don't have a cell.
We have a cell.
Well,
Snapshot.
The snapshot, very good. So let's set up the initial snapshot. Set up initial snapshot. So here we'll say snapshot equal to ns diffable snapshot section and president. Okay. The snapshot only has one section. So let's just add one section here. And we'll simply say data source dot apply, snapshot, and animating differences, we'll say false. We don't want it to animate on first launch. We'll have it animate when it fetches the presidents. Right, May? Remember that step?
Yes.
Very good. And we'll write one more function here, which is a helper function for the president stuff here. So we'll say private function fetch presidents. What does that look like? Well, we have our function that we wrote. We also tested it. So presidents is an array of presidents. We'll wrap it in a do catch because it does throw an error. And here, we'll just print the error for now. But remember that what's the best use case? What's the best practices here?
To throw something?
We're in the view controller now.
Send an alert? I don't know.
Yeah, we could send up an alert now because we're in the view controller. We have access to our alert controller again. Very good. So here we'll try bundle.main.parse, and we'll pass in the president's, the name of the file we created. So at this point, we have our presidents, and we'll just update the snapshot. Nora, please close the door. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, it's only Monday. Okay, so here we want to update the snapshot. Whenever we call fetch presidents, we'll just update the snapshot. Picture this like you have some sort of web API. You want to fetch stuff. So as you call fetch, it's just going to update your table view. And we update our table view by updating the snapshot. So here, to get a snapshot, the way to get a snapshot is always to query the data source for the snapshot. So here, query data source for the current snapshot. The data source always has the most current snapshot. We're not asking any array. We have no array here, like our old way of writing table views. If we want to get what's current, we just ask the data source, give me your current data. It has the current data. Now we could go ahead and do what we want with the current data. So here we'll say snapshot.append. We'll use the initializers that append items to a section. So here, what we're appending, an array of presidents, it knows the data type already. The Swift is a type-safe language. It knows the type it's expecting here. So here, I'll pass in presidents. And for the section, we simply pass in main, which is our enum type. Very simple. Presidents before it being initialized. Where am I here? I'm here. Oh, it might want me to throw something. Let's just make this empty. Okay, so here we have our snapshot. What's the last thing we're missing here?
Apply.
Apply, very good. So snapshot, data source, sorry. That apply, snapshot, and here we could animate the thing. And don't forget to do present. Okay, so here we apply it, and we call fetch presidents. Lastly, let's call fetch presidents right here. Fetch presidents. So this is what our table view looks like. And any questions before we run the project? Questions? Okay, let's go ahead.
Wait, can you go to the fetch presidents?
Go to the fetch presidents.
Okay,
We're
yeah,
here.
hold on,
Yep,
sorry.
right here.
Presidents. Okay. No, because it's giving me that I'm using an unresolved.
Line 47, we just made an empty array.
Yeah, no, I know.
Unresolved data type.
And then var Yeah, then I append items. I'm appending presidents to main. All right, let me just try to type it over maybe.
And main is coming from your enum here.
When I erased it and typed it over,
It's good. Okay.
Wait, no. It's still saying variable presidents used before being initialized.
Right here on line 47, just assign it to an empty array.
I have that.
Build.
It's saying the same thing. Am I bugging out? Oh, wait. No, I don't know what's happening.
You want to share your screen?
I'm on 2 different devices right now.
Okay. Let me just select this out to you.
Wait. No, but oh, wait. Okay, fixed it. Thank you.
What happened?
I had the empty array, but I didn't have it equal to an actual like bracket. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Got it. Sorry.
And make sure you call it in your view did appear here.
Yes.
And run. And we should get that animation effect where it just like scrolls down. Did everybody get the table view populated?
Yeah.
All right, very good. So that's pretty much where we are today. We did some reviewing of different data sources, but more importantly, we did some unit testing, and also we did parsing from the bundle. Again, a to-do would be to change this to a generic type so that it works on any type. And highly recommended that we go to the project, the lesson repo for today, go to the Json examples here, and grab in any JSON you want to test, right? So you could create exactly what we did today, just you created it from scratch, and then for better practice. So I highly recommend doing that. And maybe use one with an image, right? Like this one probably has images, Pixabay Paris. So grab that, which has images here, and parse that and populate that as you working on reviewing different topics.